Hello, fellow readers. Um, my name is Violet, and welcome to my little corner of BookTube. Today I am doing a rather, well, days late Tuesday book tag. It was really nice. It was the first time I've been tagged in a BookTube book tag. I was tagged twice in one day, and this was the second one. I was tagged by Pat from Book Chat with Pat. And the tag is called the Cozy Autumn Book Tag, which was originally created by Lucy at the Book Bell, which I'll leave both channels linked down below. And let me dive then straight into the questions. So, first question is, what book always reminds you of autumn or fall? Actually, before I answer that, I should say that even though currently the world is in autumn, down this end of the world in Australia and the rest of the Southern Hemisphere, we're now in spring. So even though I am going along with the spooky reads sort of seasonal reading, it does feel rather strange doing it when the weather is actually starting to warm up and even getting quite warm. Today was 25. I think on Monday it reaches around 30. But I'm taking this tag as something that, for the spooky read, something I'll be reading this time of the year, or actually any time of the year. But the autumn type questions, I'm going to be thinking of what it's like for me in autumn here, which is, when is it? February, March, April is our autumn here. So, okay, back to question one. What book always reminds me of autumn? It's actually two. One from my childhood, which I mentioned in my BookTube newbie tag, is Anne of Green Gables, and the whole series, really. Of course, it's set in all the seasons in the year, but for some reason, I think I always have it in my head around autumn and that sort of season, probably mostly linked, to be honest, with the movies that were filmed a long time ago. I think it was, well, not long ago, in the 90s. And so I really love that. So Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery, one of my favorite childhood reads. And the other one reminds me of autumn, although it is a lot set in winter as well, is The Tenant of Wildfell Hall by Anne Bronte. It's something I've only read once, but actually I really, really would like to read it again, do a reread. Because the last time I read it, I think I was probably about 14 or 15. So it's a lifetime ago. So I think I'll probably save that for, well, maybe for my autumn here. Okay, question 2. What is your favorite autumnal book cover? I really struggled with this one. I have so many books, but I think, well, autumn, I think I'm just thinking autumn colors, yellow, orange, red type ones, or something along the lines of leaves or trees, that sort of thing. But it's actually a recent book that I realized only last night. As I was struggling to put this list together, and hence my being very late with it. I just got too tired last night and ended up not doing it. So it's Wednesday today. So oh well, day late doesn't matter. The Owl Who Liked Sitting on Caesar. So that's a new one that was just delivered yesterday. Well, new secondhand one. This was a book recommended by Steve Donoghue, and I was really keen on it because I do love books with animals. And so this is more a memoir of someone of the author Martin Windrow and his experience with raising a little owlet and his experiences in the life story of the owl. And I'm really looking forward to it. Love the cover though. I mean, that owl. I love owls anyway, as you can tell. But it's just a beautifully painted owl, and of course, sitting on top of books. I mean, two of my favorite things. So I look forward to reading this one. Let me see. Number 3. What is your favorite autumnal drink to read with? I guess I don't really have an autumnal drink, but something I would drink in the cooler months of the year would be, well, coffee always. One coffee in the morning.
Yeah, sorry, my filming stopped suddenly. I had to restart. So, where was I? Autumn drinks, yes. So, I always usually have a coffee in the morning, even in the summer. But in, I guess, autumn, winter, I do like to have a hot chocolate. Sometimes with a bit of cinnamon, and teas. Generally, like a one that's like a gingery type tea or peppermint. Hang on, I have to get my questions back up now without interruption. Okay. Question 4. Do you prefer to read late at night or early in the morning? What about the middle of the day? I do love reading at night, but just depending how long a day I've had or how much else I've had to do with work and everything else, I do like to read at night before bed or for a few hours, but I prefer sort of mid-morning for as many hours as possible, especially in the holidays, because then I'm wide awake and I'm not feeling like I'm about to fall asleep, and I can really enjoy it then. So that's what I prefer. Number 5, Halloween is coming. What is your favorite spooky read? I think, even though I only just read it last year, and I haven't read this, my TBR book for this time, which is some short spooky stories. It might get supplanted, I'm not sure, but I do really love Dracula by Bram Stoker. It was so incredibly atmospheric, and the slowness of it somehow added to it. And the fact that it's written through letters and journal entries and that sort of thing, I think added to it. You get different viewpoints, and I think the settings for it are amazing. The slow tingle that you get and the slow horror that comes through, even though, obviously I know about vampires, but back in the day here, when people were first reading it, so they quite likely did not, and so it must have been a bit of a shock to them to read it. But yeah, I'll probably read that one again next year, or maybe I'll listen to the audiobook and see what that's like. Okay, next one. Question 6. What is the ultimate comfort read for you? Let me see. I think I was winding down whether to put 2 for this one. Okay, I'll show you the 3 that I was thinking of. I have actually stuck with, I'll show you the last one that I decided to sort of focus on. But one is The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. I love the language in this. I love the story, the imagery. It just transports you to a whole new world. That's really special. I think that's definitely a favorite one of mine. The Offing, which I read last year by Benjamin Myers. This one, I'm not sure whether I would completely class it as a comfort read, but it was highly enjoyable, and the sense of place that it gave, and the sense of time moving really slowly. That's something I really enjoyed here. And of course, the links with poetry, which is, of course, something I absolutely love as well. But the one I did focus on includes animals, humor, island life, people having emigrated and living somewhere different. It's My Family and Other Animals by Gerald Durrell. And this one, I have actually, I flipped it open and I started reading because I just can't help myself with this one. And I did highlight a rather long passage I thought I might share with you to give you an idea of the style of writing here, the topic. But basically, it's about it's a memoir, but written as a fictionalized memoir of Gerald Durrell's time on Corfu. He was originally English and went with his family when he was young. He was the youngest, I think. Went to the island of Corfu, and they lived there for quite some time. And his absolute fascination with animals and insects and anything of that type began quite young and built on for the rest of his life. Continued to write and to have things to do with animals all over the world, I believe. So anyway, let me get to reading a little excerpt from it, just to give you a taste of it. So it starts about halfway through introducing a new animal that comes to live with the family, which is a pigeon. And they've named him Quasimodo because I believe at the time, well, not I believe, I was reading that he was still a baby pigeon. He was still little, and how they're kind of, a little bit uglier than when they're adults, let's just say. His description of it is his feathers pushing through the wrinkled scarlet skin mixed with a horrible yellow down that covers baby pigeons and makes them look as though they have been peroxiding their hair. Anyway, I'll go further down to the parts that I wanted to read. Owing to his unorthodox upbringing and the fact that he had no parents to teach him the facts of life, that is the pigeon, not Gerald, Quasimodo became convinced that he was not a bird at all and refused to fly. Instead, he walked everywhere. If he wanted to get onto a table or a chair, he stood below it, ducking his head and cooing in a rich contralto until someone lifted him up. He was always eager to join us in anything we did and would even try to come for walks with us. This, however, we had to stop. For either you carried him on your shoulder, which was risking an accident to your clothes, or else you let him walk behind. If you let him walk, then you had to slow down your own pace to suit his. For should you get too far ahead, you would hear the most frantic and imploring coos and turn around to find Quasimodo running desperately after you. His tail wagging seductively, his iridescent chest pouted out with indignation at your cruelty. Quasimodo insisted on sleeping in the house. No amount of coaxing or scolding would get him to inhabit the pigeon loft I had constructed for him. He preferred to sleep on the end of Margot's bed, Margot being Gerald's sister. Eventually, however, he was banished to the drawing room sofa, for if Margot turned over in bed at night, Quasimodo would wake, hobble up the bed, and perch on her face, cooing loudly and lovingly. I love this. It was Larry, another sibling, brother, who discovered that Quasimodo was a musical pigeon. Not only did he like music, but he actually seemed to recognize two different varieties, the waltz and the military march. For ordinary music, he would waddle as close to the gramophone as possible and sit there with pouting chest, eyes half closed, purring softly to himself. But if the tune was a waltz, he would move round and round the machine, bowing, twisting, and cooing tremulously. For a march, on the other hand, Sousa for preference, he drew himself up to his full height, inflated his chest, and stamped up and down the room, while his coo became so rich and throaty that he seemed in danger of strangling himself. He never attempted to perform these actions for any other kind of music except marches and waltzes. Occasionally, however, if he had not heard any music for some time, he would, in his enthusiasm at hearing the gramophone, do a march for a waltz, or vice versa. But he invariably stopped and corrected himself halfway through. Anyway, there's a little taste of that one. So that was My Family and Other Animals, which, by the way, the BBC did do a production of, mini-series, which is actually what introduced me to the books in the first place. then I find out that not only his brother Larry, who was an author and who was already writing at that stage, and who did also go on to publish completely different works, but it turns out then that Gerald also wrote books, which definitely, this one's the only one I've read so far, but I have another one which I'm going to show you soon, that I would love to read. So let me get back to the tag. This is question 7. What is your favorite autumnal reading snack? I don't, once again, I don't have something I will only eat in autumn, and I generally don't like eat main food or snacks during reading, but there is one thing, and it's not messy at all, which is really good, of course, because I don't want to get food on my books. I like snacking on walnuts and almonds and other kinds of nuts, but they're the two main ones. So, number 8. What is your favorite autumnal candle to burn while reading? I barely use candles, let alone ones with a scent. I have tried them in the past, but I found them to be overwhelming. And I think a few times I even got headaches from them, and my sons really don't like them either. So I just have, enough lights to be able to see well by. So I've learned from my childhood habit of reading in the half dark. It's not good for the eyes, so I try and make sure I have as much light as possible to read by. Although I know the candle question is really just referencing it's a mood candle, not to read by. Okay, question 9. When you're not reading, what is your favorite autumnal activity? This one was easy, but it is actually all year round apart from summer, which is just too hot. But definitely, currently where I live, you have mostly the 4 seasons, and we have some European trees here too. So autumn is really beautiful in some areas, and I love to go for walks in the autumn, and either take my camera, or now I have a nice phone with a good camera there too. I love taking photos, love photography. So the autumn colors are always amazing, but I also love spring and winter with the bare trees too. But of course, autumn with the gorgeous colors, you can't really beat it. Number 10, what is on your autumn reading list? So I'm trying to think ahead to our autumn here, which is next year. I've always been meaning to read, and I just, in that last book fair I spoke of in another video, found the first 2 books. So that's the Mervyn Peake series, first one being Titus Grown, and the other one, the name escapes me at the moment, but definitely starting with this one. So it's a fantasy work that's supposed to be very dark and gothic type vibes, I believe. So I'm trying not to sort of dip into this because I'm already committed to too many other books. And I am in the habit of starting books and reading for a few hours or a few days, and then getting tempted up by another one, or I hear about something else on BookTube and I really, really want to find that one, or if I have it on my shelf, I might take a peek and get sidetracked. So I'm trying not to, but I'm thinking of this one next year, around autumn, possibly. Another fantasy one I've read, it's from Ursula K. Le Guin. In this volume, there are the 4 books. I've read A Wizard of Earthsea a long time ago, and I only got this book a couple of months ago, and I'm really looking forward to reading the others in the series, which are, once I can find the right page, The Tombs of Atuan is the second one, The Farthest Shore is the next one, and the 4th one is Tahanu. Though I do believe there are more in the series, but they're the only 4 that are in this volume. And I probably will reread A Wizard of Earthsea, just to get in the swing of it, in the flow of it, and in case there's something else I've forgotten that ties in nicely as well. And the third one, this is the other Gerald Laurel book that I have, Fillets of Place. So you can see it's animal focus again. And this actually is a sulphur-crested cockatoo, which is really common here. And they might be beautiful, but they are extremely loud and quite destructive. So we have fruit trees out the back that will decimate the fruit trees. Some people who might be in the habit of feeding them, leaving out seeds and bird seed, that sort of thing. They can find their house started, it can be pulled apart. They've got very, very sharp and strong beaks, and they will pull apart timber. They'll pull apart the wood on your house if they don't get the food, if they're in the habit of being fed, and then the food is not there. They will make their annoyance known. That's for sure. Okay, so that's that one, and that was it. So number 11 is just to tag others. So I haven't done that yet, but I will do that before I put the video up, and I'll put the links below. I am adding more booktubers that I watch, but of course, the more I add, the less I can watch some of them regularly and comment, which is what I really want to do. So some I might watch on a almost daily basis, others weekly, and probably the others still maybe every month or two by the time I get around to them. But I'll see how I can tag for this. I might just double check they haven't already actually done the tag as well. So yeah, thank you for joining me for this book tag, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you later, or rather you might see me later. Bye for now.